What's up, guys? Shawnthebro here, and today we're going to be doing a programming live stream on YouTube. Now, this is weird because I usually stream on Twitch, so I do have to make sure my audio is sounding good. If anyone can confirm that, I'd appreciate it. I'm also going to go ahead and just listen to it myself. What's up, guys? It sounds pretty good to me. It looks pretty good. Thank everybody for coming by. I think I screwed it up a bit because I set the event to be scheduled, and it scheduled it, and then I chose the event to go live, and now it says that that old one is upcoming, and that this is a new one I just started, even though I literally chose the details in that event on YouTube to go live, and I'm not sure why that would be. I literally cannot think of a good reason that would occur. Hey, Everglade, it's nice to see you. Sorry that this was so confusing. I felt like I did everything correctly. I did a test earlier and it worked, and then I did the same thing and did not work. So, I don't know. I must have screwed something up, but I still appreciate that you came here and figured it out despite the mess, despite how complicated I made it to actually get here. And I'm sure the live screen is confusing to you because you see like 100 of me. So let me go to... I'm just going to open up Unreal. I mean, you can see my YouTube analytics. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just what happens when you do the live stream, so not like trying to hide anything, but I figure let's just open up Unreal. I'm still using 4.23, which I need to upgrade everything. I'll probably do that this week. But this stream, thank you all for coming in, for real. This stream is going to be the first YouTube stream I've ever done, period. I technically did do another one, but I did it a few years ago, and also it wasn't me doing anything. It was me live streaming a specific screen that I had to do for something that I was working on with some friends, and it wasn't important. So anyway, long story short, there's going to be a lot for me to figure out today. I mean, I think we're pretty good as far as this goes. The blue makes my face look green, so maybe pick secondary colors. We could. I mean, let's see what colors we got. I'm very bright, but it's actually yellow, not white. It looks kind of white on the camera. We can change the colors to white if I could. White does not want to work. Why doesn't white want to work? That's weird. There we go. So I could be nice and bright for you guys, whatever you prefer. When we did this on Twitch last Friday, we started this series, and so I wanted to try it on YouTube. First of all, because this does align more as a series that would work on YouTube compared to on Twitch, at least with the audience that I have. I'm not saying you can't stream programming on Twitch, but my YouTube channel is entirely centered around programming, so it seems about right. I'm sure you love this view. I apologize. I keep clicking into that. Let me just look at Unreal. But again, thank you guys for coming by. Give me 1 second, and we'll get started here. I just want to respond to this. Because we were doing some tests in the background and things like that, so trying to make sure everything looks good before we get started. Excellent. Okay, so everything looks good. Cannot hear Jingle Punks. Okay. Really? Oh, it is very quiet. Okay, my apologies. It is okay, but let's turn it up a bit. I do like being able to hear it. I'm sure you love this view. I apologize. The song right now happens to be off, which does not help. But again, thank you guys for a second, and we'll get started here. Being able to hear it. I'm sure you love this view. I apologize. The song right now happens to be off, which does not help. Okay, so I think that sounds pretty good. I mean, let me know. I'll turn it down just a little bit so it's not too loud, but I think we can hear it, and I think we're good to go. I was looking at the screen resolution, the size, everything looks good to me. David, thank you. Yeah, I think we were good. Hear it a little more now. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it like that. I mean, we can change it as the stream goes on. I've just been trying to make sure everything looks good, and I think it does. Now, I know this is going to be a little weird for people. Like I said, first of all, I screwed up the starting it, apparently. So, anyway, let's just go ahead and jump into it. And it seems perfect now. Thank you. Thanks, Morgan. All right, let's get started. So, sorry about all this. We're trying to figure some things out still. I'm used to doing this on Twitch, and to do it, to stream the same way we stream on Twitch, but on YouTube, there are some changes that have to happen. And I also have to do some things, like I made a thumbnail for this, and I was like, cool, we're good. And I tested it, and I'm like, great, everything is easy. And then it was not that easy when I did it this time. But I think we're working now. Now, the good thing about uploading it to YouTube, the really good thing about this, is I can upload it, and it will, or I can stream it, and it will actually stay on YouTube. So we can just keep it there, and it can be kind of archived. I have the Shawnthebro 27 channel where the Twitch streams go, but now they can get archived right on this channel as we're doing programming stuff. So, you know, that's a good way to kind of just integrate it into it without this extra step that I have to do, which, quite frankly, makes my life a lot easier, and also just makes it more convenient for people who don't want to follow two different channels for the same content, because that doesn't really make sense. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. Basically, what we're working on is a side-scroller game, kind of like Mario. So, I'll just kind of show it to get started, what we've done so far. This is our character. We have an enemy, which we don't have any other assets at the moment. So, he's our off-brand enemy called not our player character, of course. And if we step on him, he shrinks. It's like we squished him. And we get launched back. That way we don't take any sort of damage. Now, if we walk into him, we do take damage. And if we take enough damage, 4 hits in this case, we actually end up dying. And of course, when we die, it just actually destroys the actor. And thus the camera just kind of goes into open space. So that's why it looks the way it does. What is going on? I'm still fixing my stream while I'm live. David, we also had streaming issues. Thanks for coming by. We also had streaming issues because I scheduled it, and then I clicked on it and said go live, and it created a new instance that it went live from. And didn't bring over my description or anything. In fact, let's look at that. I don't think there's anything you can't see here. This is just my channel information. You guys are good to see this. Actually, it does have my description here, but it did not have my thumbnail or my tags or my time. So, yeah, I don't really know what that's about, but that's fine. We will figure it out. What the heck is up, Dave? Just want to say hi before I go back. Everyone have fun this stream. Thanks, David. Have fun in your stream, too. For real. I will keep Discord down for now, just for the safety of everyone in the community. But, okay, so yeah, you can see kind of what we started with last stream. This is part 2, since we did the first stream on Twitch. Morgan, you're so cool. When we playing? About that. Okay, so, sorry, got a little bit distracted there. David was distracting me. I'm going to blame that one on him. We were able to get invincibility. So basically invincibility frames, we just set it invincible for a second after taking damage. Taking damage if we collide with the player that is not part of their head, and if we collide with a part that is other than our foot. So, you know, if you hit him in the head but it's like your chest, well, you should still take damage. We're not stepping on him. Our whole thing is we're stepping on him, and that's how we're dealing damage. The shrinking is just kind of for fun. I was just showing that before we destroy him. And some other things like that. So we got... Correct. Morgan is correct. So yeah, we were just kind of playing around with it, having some fun. We got, you know, we started from just the side-scroller template, so we got a good amount done in 2 hours, because I did a long thing like I did this time where I had a really long intro. We are going to kind of just go off of this today and play with it. So what I would like to do is have some sort of pickups today that we can have. We'll figure out what we should do with the enemy. Maybe we'll try and make him just walk back and forth using a blackboard and stuff. It's not too bad as stuff. I'm just kind of having fun. You'd think I'd be able to by now, but, you know, one of those things. There we go. Now we can kind of just leave this anywhere. I usually like to leave my comments in a specific area relative to where we want to use them. So right above this function is fine. What instead we want to do is, I think I called it die. Or did I actually do, I might not have done like a take damage on the enemy. So I should probably just destroy actor. But what, a better way than, you know what, let's do that first. So a better way than destroy actor is to take health away from our enemy and then see if they should die or not, just like we're doing with the player. Let's go ahead and open up Visual Studio to perform this. It doesn't look like we opened it in this version, so let me open a folder. Go to Programming Projects. Sorry, I have to remember all the time, like between my work computer and this computer. There's a lot, so here we go. Really? Weird. Usually you can just click the solution, unless that's new for 2019, but I guess they just want you to open the folder and it opens everything for you. That's nice. That is convenient. Let's open everything back up. We're going to want our character today and our enemy for now. We'll probably have a pickup or something as well, but that's fine. Of course, they are accurately named Twitch game character. Are you going to crash on me? It's okay, you can crash. You worked very hard. I can understand. I can understand why you'd crash over that. That was a very complicated procedure. I had asked you to, you know, move the tab over. So, hey, I get it, you know. Sometimes you just gotta crash. At the end of the day, just, it's unavoidable, I feel. Okay, so... yeah, we didn't do anything for taking damage. We were literally just destroying him, which works for like a common enemy. Like if we're treating this like Mario, then if the characters or if the enemy is like a Goomba, then sure, that works. But we don't always want that. Sometimes we want them to have some sort of health or do some sort of other effect. So we can, just to be safe, give them a little bit of a, you know, take damage and a death function to make our lives easier. To make it even easier, I mean, what we can do is this one. Essentially copy the take damage function that our character has, because it's going to be very similar. Whoops, not here. What am I doing? So I actually hate the way that this is structured. I think it's structured like garbage. Having multiple sections for your privacy is pretty gross. I don't really care if public or protected is in front, but man. Alright, let's go ahead. Oh, I just copied that. Great. So anyway... make sure this is you. Is it you function? It's been. Why am I having a blank? Blueprint callable. Void take damage. I also hate that because Visual Studio wants to tab it for you. And do we care about anything else? We only really care about the amount that they take. Do anti-damage. We don't really need to make it a float for a game simplistic like this. Let's go ahead and make this function. Make it at the bottom. I did, because I actually wanted to make my life convenient for a change. Base enemy. Take damage. We do damage. Okay, and then it's pretty darn simple. So we just need the character to have, or the enemy to have a health variable. So we can do float health. Not heal, but health. And then we need to make sure that we set this value to something in the constructor. For the basic enemy, his health should probably only be 1, so we can just step on him and kill him. And what we do is, again, very simple. Health minus equals damage. Damage. Weird. And then we can just check if health is less than 0, less than equal to 0. Then we're going to call like die, and we'll make a function for die. I said this in the last stream, but I like to kind of keep everything uFunction or uProperty until it is necessary to change it. Just because it makes our lives easier to be able to use it. We can always clean it up later. Die, and then let's just write the die function. The die. And all we are going to do is destroy... I forget exactly how we did it. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Grandma? There's multiple ways you can do it. I just kind of want to make sure we're just calling regular destroy. Okay. Destroy. We're not doing anything fancy. We're just saying, yeah, get out of here. Literally get deleted. Am I stupid? What is going on here? Yeah? I opened a folder and it did not open the solution. Weird. Okay. That's fine. I can just copy this and bring it over to the solution. But I will say, Visual Studio is being very weird. I've never seen that before. Like, did I press the wrong thing? Open a project or solution. Then we go back to where the thing is. Open the solution. Oh, I opened the folder. So I must have hit the wrong button by accident. That's fine. I'm just going to paste everything we did into it. Regular hot reload. Okay. And now, what we should be able to do is in the base, well, when we step on an enemy, and really this foot collider, sure, this is the right method, but we need to invoke the correct logic on the enemy. This would typically, you know, we should pass it over to the enemy, but for the complexity needed here, it's okay to just call take damage on the enemy on the spot. Give it the damage amount, because I know this is coming from the foot collider. Let's say we only ever want to do 1 damage from that. I think that's perfectly fine. So we'll just go ahead and call take damage. And now what should happen is instead of calling destroy actor, we call take damage, but because his health is less than or equal to 0, in this case it's equal to, then he just dies. We say great. So now if we want an enemy to have more health, what I could do is go into my base enemy, either in the code class and change it, or on the specific blueprint class, and go to... Oh, you know what? I did not expose that, so we would have to do it in the code. What I will do is just expose this so I can show you. View property, and we want blueprint, read, write, and edit anywhere. And then we can build it. Okay, so I'm gonna close this one now. That's cool. It updated everything when I switched to it. That's nice to be able to see. One Punch Man Simulator. Good one. Yeah, basically we're just a tank here. Just literally, I mean, think about it, like that's what Mario did. He basically one-shot everyone. The people he didn't one-shot were just because they can't be killed by normal means, like the Koopa. He goes into his shell, but his whole thing is, you know, if he rolls off the map or whatever, he dies, but kind of otherwise you gotta step on him again. That would be like a 2 health thing, right? Step on it, and then you have to wait either till he turns over, hit him with fireball, knock him off, whatever. There's a bunch of different things you can do. That's why I wanted to introduce the health instead of just kind of killing him, because it feels a little bit lazy to do it that way. Did I do incorrectly, huh? But did I try building it again? Is that what happened? Did I try a rebuild again? I think I tried to rebuild again, so I'll probably have to close in real. That was my fault. Alright, get out of here, you big buffoon. There we go. And let's open that back up. Oh, I opened it through here. Of course. I am brilliant. That was totally planned and well executed. Twitch game. Open up Twitch game. Okay, so now that that's done, this probably did not hot reload. They say it's supposed to when you open it, but I don't know. I don't trust it. I've seen some issues. That's cute, little cat in a box. I like that. Is that a YouTube emote, or where did you get that? Okay, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for my enemy now. And of course I gotta reopen this because I was being silly and rebuilding instead of just building. Again, everything with work and stuff, it gets mixed up, you know? Alright, so now we have our take damage, and now our base enemy has a health, which I made it a float. I just realized because I'm used to the fighting game. I'm thinking health bars. Let me change it again. Let me do it int. My apologies here. We were having one heck of a time, I will say. Build. There we go. And then we can go ahead and compile. Alright, and now we have an integer. So now we can give this guy 3 health. And oh, well, you know what happened? It did work, but it just is going to keep colliding with him. Because we did not bounce him away like when we were hit by him last time, and we had invincibility timer. So let me show you. So see how we bounced away because we collided with him? So his health is 3, and we're calling take damage with 1. But I guarantee you that this is getting called many, many times. So let's see, I guess, just print string. Just see if it's getting printed multiple times. See, that time it was like, no, you're good. But yeah, so okay, we have to limit it to we either have to genuinely launch him when we hit him. Do you see how the first time it was much more confusing, and then it's like, no, you're good. Like now it's just not gonna destroy him right away. It's like actually giving me 2. You gotta love it. But yeah, so what we need to do is make sure that this can only happen a given amount of times per collision. So you don't want to make it so, you know, oh, the player has to touch the ground or something, because you should be able to bounce off, step on their head again, and they should take damage. And there's a few ways we could tackle it. We could essentially give invincibility frames to the enemy. Very, very minor. That way you can't just like hit them and then hit them again. But there is a way. So the begin overlap function, for begin overlap to occur, you either have to have not been overlapping the object at one point, so begin overlap then end overlap, or you have to have been able to overlap with another object that was there. So something else we could do besides that is kind of check if we've ended overlap, start a timer, or even just on begin overlap, start a timer, and then be able to do it again once that timer runs out. There's a few different ways we could do it. Let's go. I don't know the best way. I have not planned these videos out ahead of time. I do that on purpose, these streams, because I'm going to run into problems. If I run into problems, I have to be able to solve them. That's part of the job of being a software engineer, of coding, and I feel like you guys should see that. You guys should kind of see what my thought process is, what things we can do to tackle it, what things I need to do to determine what the best way is. So let's just go for it. What we want to do is on component end overlap, which I never generated the event, so that's my fault. Let's go get foot collider. And let's see if this is printing when we think it's printing. We don't need to even know what we're ending overlap with, most likely. It should just kind of... Oh yeah, I can't have everything the same. Oh no, I took out the other print string. So look at this. Now it's overlapping with multiple objects, and that's why it prints so many times. So what we can do is do this. Make sure that we're essentially colliding with the enemy. And then print it, just to be completely sure. There we go. And there you go. It does in fact say, no, we're colliding with a box component on the enemy. And so since we know we're colliding with the right thing, great. But we need to make sure that, again, it doesn't do it all at once. Nobody wants that. So, in my opinion, the easiest way would be to just kind of set up a timer here. We'll see if it looks a little bit hacky. It could be perfectly fine, because it depends on your timer and how you set it up. You know, it could end up screwing that up. However, say we've set it to a very, very small value, like a few milliseconds. Well, it's not really a hack, because maybe we just don't want the player to even be able to abuse that. Regardless, we need to have, we need to give them some time between, and that's perfectly fine. I genuinely don't think there's an issue with that. So we'll test it out, and we'll see if we need to change anything. And that's kind of just how I approach things, right? Performance-wise, it won't be an issue either way, so that's not really a concern here. But we are using our base enemy BP, so if you need to change this for other actors, of course, make sure that you either override that or that you're careful with it, right? So let's do... Sorry, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking down the road. I'm thinking if there's multiple enemies, say we're thinking of 2, could we step on them both at the same time? I don't believe you're supposed to be able to in a game like Mario. I'm pretty sure you bounce off the one, the other one gets ignored. Not that it matters. We can do whatever we want. We're not really following a game specifically. But I just want to make sure when I implement logic that is kind of valid for other cases we'll need it down the line. We don't want to just make it for this and then already we run into a hack and it's not good. So if I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm saying it's probably okay if we only worry about this enemy. And if it's a different enemy, then it's okay if we also ignore it. You are awesome, man. Keep up the good work. Hey, thank you so much. That is so kind. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. This is just so that, we can kind of hang out, talk to each other, and you guys can get a better look of what I do. Like right now, I'm kind of walking through what I think would be the best way to implement this because I'm trying to avoid implementing a hack. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. That is so nice. We're gonna try the timer thing, and we'll see how it works. Again, I think it'll be okay. I think once we hit an enemy, launch us back. Just launch us regardless, and then, well, you know what we could do? That would be even better if that would work. Let's try it. See? Sometimes you just get an idea and you gotta roll with it. Like, I have a set path forward, but I'm constantly thinking, I'm like, is there a better way we could do this? I think there is. So, when the enemy takes damage, I think it should push the... We do know in this case, when we're taking damage, that it is from the foot collider. It is from us jumping on them. Little question from the fighting game tutorials. Go for it. I will be answering questions. Just so that it's completely clear, I have no problem answering questions. I probably just won't do any in-depth questions where I have to look at the code unless it's a scheduled stream for that. But all what you do in C++ is possible in Blueprints. Oh yeah, absolutely. You can do everything I do in C++ in Blueprints. Essentially, Blueprints are... Well, not essentially. Blueprints are just code in disguise. Blueprints are just code that are kind of... they're made into functions, and they're displayed as nodes. So anything that you see in C++ can be done in Blueprints. Now, people say there's a little bit of a trade-off of performance. So, Blueprints are easier to work with, even for someone who knows coding and does that for a living. A lot of times, I prefer to use Blueprints for something just because it makes your life easier. Personally, and from my experience in work, in real life, in everything that I've worked on, Blueprints do not really impact performance negatively. I think what happens, and the reason people say that, is because Blueprint, you have to be careful if you're using Unreal Blueprint nodes. So nodes that Unreal has made, they're not functions you made, they're not logic that you made. You never know without looking into C++ what's going on inside that function, and it's very possible that Unreal themselves has made a slow function. Okay, there are functions that are faster and slower. For example, there's when you do division, you're not really supposed to do division in coding if you don't have to. You can just multiply by a different value, and it's actually a lot faster. So say if you do, and you'll know I'm guilty of this in the series and in my tutorials, because dividing is easier. If I want to get the average, I want to divide by 2 or whatever. But if you can multiply by 0.5 instead of dividing by 2, the multiplication is a lot faster. So when you're doing something in Blueprint, you have to still be careful that you're using a function, that you know what it's doing, or that you don't think it's going to slow your game down if you do it a lot. But other than that, in my experience, Blueprints aren't any slower than code. So for the record, not only can you do everything I do in C++ in Blueprints, but I think you can do it without issue. I don't think it'll cause any problems. In my opinion, there are some things that are easier to do in code, but if you either don't know coding at all, or you have all your systems set up in Blueprint, you don't really want to go and make one class in just code. So, I think Blueprints are perfectly acceptable. On top of you being able to use them for pretty much everything, I don't think they'll cause you any trouble. Just make sure you know what you're using. That's all I'll say. I like to bring that as a point when I talk about Blueprints, because we have this conversation at work, and people are always like, "Oh no, don't use Blueprints." But people are just kind of scared away from Blueprints. When you compile your project, your Blueprints actually it's literally just nodes in code that go through and fire the functions you set up in the order you've given it. It's nothing in the Blueprint actually does anything. You're essentially signing values in code. So it's just code behind the scenes. So there's virtually no difference between code and Blueprints. And I think that's a great question, though, for the record. It's a really good question. Feel free to ask anything you want. It's always fun to talk about. So I forget exactly what I was doing, but oh yeah, I wanted to try launching the character before we even try to give them any sort of like timer. What if we launch the character in the air a little bit? I mean, when we step on them, you should get a little bit of jump. You shouldn't just fall through them. So I don't think that would be wrong to do that anyway. Let's just go ahead and launch the character. I believe Z is the up in this case. Yep. So we'll launch him with like 400. Now, we also, if we are to take damage from collision, we also get launched. In this case, hopefully this will trigger first. I mean, it will trigger first. But you can see that we actually still hit him. And that's what I was kind of afraid of. So it appears that we have hit him twice still, regardless. And I wanted that to kind of be a solution to avoid this. But I don't think it's going to be possible. I think we're going to have to come up with logic to kind of ignore that. So yeah, we can either do the invincibility logic or we can have a timer. But see, you got to try things because it would have been really convenient if that worked, but that's okay. So another thing we could actually just do if we wanted is set a timer to set a boolean here. See, my brain's always going. My brain is always going. First of all, I actually do want to test something. So I'm kind of curious as to why this cast the box component is... Let's figure out the logic here, because I think there still might be a better way. But I kind of have to know why this is doing it twice. Because even without a true test, begin and begin and so like I get that we're falling on them, but it's still weird to me that it begins, ends, and then begins again without us ever falling. So you can actually kill him just like this if you hit it at the right angle. Which I'm actually okay with. You can just tweak the locations if you don't want that to be the case. So it's not an issue with the colliders, it's just with jumping on them, quite frankly. Yeah, thank you, David. Appreciate that. Sorry, David is talking to me in Discord. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, it kind of proves our point that we're going to need to have some sort of invincibility that the enemy has, or we're going to need to make sure that they have left first. The problem with this one, actually, is that it thinks we've begun, left, and begun again. So I think what we do, I think the optimal solution is to have the enemy take damage in this case. Then we need to, real quick, let me see. Capsule component, that's just if it hits the capsule component. Has the character take damage? Do one thing real quick. Okay, cool. So this, what we're doing won't hurt the damage from the enemy, which is great. That's what I wanted to check. So let's go ahead and put it in a little invincibility timer for our enemy. This will also help if you kind of, say you have an enemy on the ground in like a very narrow platform area. If you jump on them, hit the roof, and then fall back down, it will allow you to kind of kill them right away without just kind of bouncing, and then they have a really long time because you have to wait for them to end overlap. That's why that's not really a good method to use end overlap, because if they never end the overlap, then you can't necessarily do that. You can't necessarily kill them, then you'll just keep jumping off them. So the invincibility, I think, is the right way to go. I feel confident in saying that. I wanted to try to avoid it because we kind of already went over this. I mean, we did already go over it in the other, in the first episode, so I feel kind of bad just kind of recycling stuff, but it's what we got to do. It's what we got to do. Do that. Just like the character, and we need the same functions that the character has. The begin and end timer. Okay, and we need to actually write these functions. Whoops, I'm in the header file. Quite frankly, I'm just gonna reuse what we had to save us some time. Okay, I think we're good. We do need to, we don't have to use the state. However, I think a state system on the enemy is very good. It allows our AI for the enemy to be insanely easy comparatively, because think about it. So think again, let's go back to Mario with the Koopa. He wanders, kind of just well, they have different logic, but let's go with the green Koopa. He kind of just wanders a direction, right? Just wanders, that's it. If you hit him, he goes into his his shell state. Once he's in the shell state, then you hit him again. Even if you hit him from a side, as long as he's not moving, then you will send him that direction. So he definitely has different states, and with the AI, we can kind of just tell him what to do when he's in certain states. So let's go ahead and save ourselves some time later by doing it now. And we can use it for our invincibility here as well. I will go ahead and put this in the base enemy, but for the record, your enemies are probably not all going to have the same states. Not if they're diverse enemies. So this is probably not the best way to do this. It works for now, and it saves us some time, but generally you'll want to kind of single it out for each enemy. And there we go. Alright. And now everything should be good if I'm... Only thing is, I actually... Yeah, default is fine. Default is fine. Alright, let's build that. And we'll go ahead and show you how useful this is. Fatal error, what did I forget to do? Fatal error. That means I forgot to either make a function or I forgot to define it. What did I forget to do? Stack enum, let's see. Already defined in base enemy. Really? Can you not have the same enum? I guess I've never really tried. Oh yeah, well, you're totally right. Now I have to change this. Really? I did not know that. See? We learn something new all the time. Base enemy, that's good. State can be equal to that because we're going to change the state here to be this. And build that again. I think that's everything. But see, you learn something new all the time, and that's perfectly fine. No shame on the live stream. That's kind of the whole point of making this a public, easy thing to watch. Now remember, we don't really want to be doing a lot of logic on the enemy within the character. So we should make this into a function, and we probably will. For now, let's make sure we get everything working before we take, you know, exaggerated steps here. When we call take damage, let's modify this a bit just to kind of fit how the character works as well, because this is important. So I set this up last time. We were launching the character, you know, if we were hit in a given direction, and we were determining whether we should put on the invincibility timer or not. We're going to want to do that here if we're using the invincibility timer. So first things first, when the enemy goes to take damage, we don't want to just check if the difference is 0, because if it is, we don't want to apply the damage already or we'll kill them. So a good way to do this is actually to do this. Excuse me. This can even stay either way, but the important part is this. We want health minus damage. Yeah. I got you. That's That's what I was doing. Health minus damage greater than 0. If it is greater than 0, we don't want to die. Instead, we want to start our invincibility timer. But else, we do want to die. We want the enemy to die. We don't care about the difference. So health minus damage is greater than 0. We want to still do this. Otherwise, we can just flat out call die. And we want to begin invincibility timer. Then we should also, just to be safe, make sure that they are not already invincible. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to have this eating them in the first place. And there we go. So let's just double check our logic real quick before we use it. But the enemy's going to take damage. We're going to make sure they're not invincible. If they're not invincible and they're not going to die from the hit, then we do subtract the value, but then we make them invincible. Else, if they're going to die from the hit, just kill them. Doesn't matter. You can take their health away or not. Doesn't really matter. At this point, we know they're going to die. It's pretty simple logic there. And then die is just going to destroy them. So, they be dead, essentially, for lack of better words. And I think we already built it, but just to be safe, let's build it again. And then begin invincibility timer. It's going to set the enemy to be invincible. It's going to run the length of the timer that we give it, which I believe... Do we set it to a default in the constructor? We do, and we just set it for 1 second. So let's set our values here. So we should set state equals enemy state, and then default, because that just means they're doing their default logic. And we want to make sure that our invincibility timer, excuse me, our invincibility time is a specific value. 1 second is fine. It's actually probably way too long, but for the purposes of this, it will do the trick. And that way it'll wait 1 second before calling end invincibility, which then puts the enemy back at default, which means they can be hurt again. So invincibility frames are pretty easy because this is the invincibility timer. It goes off of a time, but you can find, you know, given the FPS of the game and given how many seconds have passed, you can figure out how many frames have passed, and you can figure out how many frames, you know, you want someone to be invincible for. What did I do this time? Oh yeah, that's just a warning for this. Yeah, I get it. These are all the warnings. What did I do? Is it complaining because of this again? I don't think I hit rebuild. So I wouldn't think it would complain, but it's giving me the DLL error saying it can't write to it, which usually means it's in use, which means Unreal is hogging it. Yeah. Why are you hogging it, Unreal? You should not be hogging it. Give it back to Visual Studio. Switch game. For the 3rd time. Reopen. Okay. Now that we have to open up everything again. Excellent. My favorite. Alright. And now, what we're doing is we're still just going to call take damage. We don't really have to set the invincibility time. We were doing this last episode to kind of, oh, you can change it per enemy and stuff. You know, we can do that if we want. We don't have to. It's pretty clear that would work without this. We were calling begin invincibility timer from the take damage. In this case, we're going to be calling take damage on the enemy, which is going to trigger the begin invincibility timer for them upon collision. Is there a way to make... Okay, hold on. This is important. Is there a way to make text in Unreal bigger? It's a bit hard to read even on full screen. Oh, really? Okay. Is it a bit hard to read? I apologize. Sorry. I'm trying to see if I could see like a full screen view of it. I was going to say, what is this, like 360? Wait, the highest quality I get is 360. You guys are seeing that at a better quality, right? Because this is set to be 1080. Hopefully you're not seeing that 360. Let me look. Okay, no. I'm able to view it in full HD. But, okay, it's a little small, though. That is... I don't actually know. I mean, I can zoom in. I can zoom in. I don't actually know if there's a way. There's probably, like, a way to make it bigger. I may have to look that up for next time. One second, once he's back in default. Weird, alright, alright. So what I would do now is... See, it's not even going into this logic, though. Enemy is invincible, so I wonder if it just did not build. We were having issues with this last stream. I was like, what the heck is this error doing? Like, we should have fixed this? Just build again, and it worked fine. So let me make sure, okay? Let's compile again. Okay, get owner, it's an enemy, call take damage, give it a damage of 1. This should be going off fine. Then we call take damage to the enemy with 1. If state, not equal to invincible. It's equal to default by default. And then we do health minus damage if it's greater than 0. Again, 3 minus 1. Definitely greater than 0. Health minus equals damage, sure. And then begin invincibility timer. Interesting. So, what I would normally do here is actually just use logs, but because I'm pretty confident that that is accurate, then what I'm going to do is this. We can use breakpoints and launch the editor, and we can see what the logic is doing. Probably something silly. It's you honestly, the silliest issues are usually the ones that get you. Those are the gotchas because you're not thinking about them. All right, so make sure that that breakpoint is valid and accurate. Take damage, correct. So our state is default. Health is 3. Damage is 1. Health minus equals damage. Guess what? Begin invincibility timer. Which prints the logic. It should print the logic right there. Did it print? Well, we won't know until we continue. But did it print? Okay, he didn't die. You see, do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying about Unreal? You watched me build twice. You watched me build twice. Why am I having issues, Unreal? See, the enemy is invincible. And now it takes 3 hits. I thought I knew how to code. I thought I did, and since I thought I knew how to code, I was like, I don't think I'm doing this incorrectly. No, I'm not doing it incorrectly. Unreal just does not like me. You know, when you compile Unreal, I think this needs to be explained to Epic. If anyone from Epic is watching right now, when you compile, usually it means that I want the C++ code that I have changed in my game. And it was probably because of the DLL error we were having. I don't think it was just Unreal's fault. I think it got locked and then didn't update. But now you can see what's actually working and actually going on is he gets his invincibility. He's got a second worth, which again is probably a little exaggerated. He doesn't need it for a whole second, but it just can show you we now have to jump on his head 3 times. Cool. And now that we have that working, we could actually get rid of the player's invincibility when we jump on their head, because now we have them having health and being able to kill them. But I'll leave it for now, just because it's not actually hurting anything. The only time it would hurt something is if you bounced off their head, jumped into something else, and you didn't want them to have invincibility, which you probably don't. There you go. So cool. Alright, so that's the first thing I wanted to do today. And we still have 15 minutes. The other thing I want to get working is I want to have a pickup of some sort. It can be something as simple as a coin just for some points, and we can show the points to the screen. Or it can be kind of a power-up, maybe that gives us invincibility, puts us in the invincibility state, but for an extended period of time. And if we run into enemies during that state, then they are the ones that actually, you know, get destroyed or take damage. So we can do that if we want. Let's go ahead and make a pickup to get started. Let's just create a new actor. And I'll call it base pickup. And this will work for all those things because all I'm going to do is put a static mesh on it. That's fine. Since I'm using the very, very bare minimum, I have very few options. So I'll make it a chamfer, but I will change the colors. So I have the Unreal Man body. I mean, we can make our own material and it'll look much better, but for now, if we want, that's perfectly fine. Now we have to make sure that everything gets placed in the right location. So the X is the value we care about, which is 1170. No, excuse me, it's 1200. So we need 1200 for this guy. And we can put him wherever. And we're going to shrink that way down. Okay. We're going to shrink that way down. Don't worry, the default scene root component won't be shown. Although it is annoying as heck to see it in the editor like that. There you go. That's a collectible. So we need to actually be able to pick it up and stuff like that. But that's what we'll use as our collectible. This will be our coin for now because that's the easiest one. We'll implement that to start. Let me put a, you know, the coin can stay right in front of them. And what we want to do is we're going to make it also overlappable. We don't need it to block. We don't want our pickup to ever block anybody or our character. So we can set it to overlap all. We can go ahead and do on component begin overlap again. One of the best things you can do in Unreal, just because it's so easy. We can get the other actor, cast and see if it is the player, which I believe is Twitch game character. say coin and coin. Then we'll do, whoops, I don't normally capitalize this. And we'll do star. We'll keep it as a star just because everyone's familiar with the star. Star. To be fair, the star is going to be just the same cube, but with a different material. So, okay. Now we have this. And by default, I will go ahead and set it just to make sure that it has it. I mean, it's going to default to the default. It's how they work. But, oh, I need a type of this. So we can put in public. It doesn't really matter. But we need E. Pickup type. Type. And we're going to go ahead and make type equal E pickup type. Whoops. Coin. And just like that, we've assigned it. Of course, it'll change for every one. Doesn't really matter if we organize these or not, but I just kind of want to pin some of the more important ones. Nope, don't crash again. And I'm asking a lot of... Okay. Can't believe you crashed just trying to move it. Twice now. I've never had it crash once. Alright, so anyway, now we have our type here that is being defined. I will go ahead and build my code. And then, assuming we can, whoops. Assuming we can open this back up and it actually decides to take our changes, which I wouldn't be too surprised if it doesn't. Twitch game. Just take a nap while it's opening. I'm a professional at reopening this now. I've done it quite a few times. And the pop-up that says, hey, do you want to open what you had open? It's not popping up, I will say. It is not popping up a single time for me. But what we want to do is check if we're colliding with the character. And now when we click on... Yeah, we don't have the changes, unfortunately. It didn't hot reload. Oh no, it did, my bad. I never made it blueprint type, so I can't see it. This is something I will make blueprint type because this is very important. So you'll be able to adjust whenever. So let's do blueprint read write, edit anywhere, and build it again. My fault. That one was my bad. Not Unreal's bad, my bad. Okay, and then at this point, if I compile again, we should be able to get the changes here once we change the parent class. So now we have class settings, and we're no longer parenting off of an actor, but we want to parent off of base pickup. And it parents off of an actor. Well, it's a child of an actor, so it's not really a big deal. And now we have our type here. So we can quite literally set our type for our specific pickup. Like, this is the base pickup, so it probably should not have, like, it probably should have a default of some sort, but I'm never going to have a default pickup. You know what I mean? Usually you do a default if you have something that's always going to be the same, if they don't adjust it, which I feel like the best example of that is the coin. So I'm going to leave it as the coin, and that'll be the base. So this is what the coin looks like. Feast your eyes. That's wonderful coin. And now all we have to do is actually, we can do one of two things. We can handle the switch in the character and what happens when they collide with it, or we can go ahead and just do a simple operation here once the cast succeeds. I guess for something like the coin, we're going to go ahead and call a function because we'll want to keep track of how many coins they have. So the coins can be on the character in case you have, you know, 2 players or something. You might want to have the coins specific to the character. So let's do that. Let's do int num coins. Very simple. I guess we don't really need to make it U property. Let's set num coins to be 0 by default. Just gonna space this out a bit so we can keep track of everything. And then let's have a function. And we'll call it, we'll make it blueprint callable. And we'll say void add coins with an amount num to add let's write our function add coins int num to add, and then what we do is we take our num coins and we just go ahead and do plus num to add. Quite simple. And we can build this, and we'll be able to call this function off of our character reference, and we can just pass it if we have multiple, like if we have a giant coin that's worth 50 coins, we can, don't tell me it's the DLL again. Oh, plus equals, my bad. Yeah, so pretty simple way to do coin logic, or any sort of pickup logic, really. This did not hot reload. Let's make sure we compile it. And what we want to do is do add coins, and for the num to add, now we could assign the value here, but a better way to do it is to just give the pickup. Oh, it's gonna crash. It's gonna crash. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. Man, it is volatile, I will say. It is aggressive. Don't you dare move me. Okay. Let's just give it a value. Int. This is specific if it's a coin, right? But I think we can still define the value in here, because you could also do, like, if you have a pickup of any sort that gives you more than one. Like, for example, think about Mario Kart or something. You can either have 1 shell or 3 shells, you know, something like that. You could do the same. So this should be more generalized to the coin pickup instead of the base pickup. Alright, let's not be lazy. Let's not be lazy. Because while that point is accurate, I don't think we're going to use it. So let's do it the correct way. Let's say this is called base pickup. But, yeah, okay, fine. I'm going to move this out and put this into a coin pickup. Which means, well, the static mesh can stay because we can change what the mesh is on. So this is base pickup. Let's go back into our blueprints and let's create child blueprint class. We'll do coin pickup. Minecraft, what are your favorite fighting games? That's a good question. So my favorite fighting games, it's a bit tough for me. I grew up playing, I'm trying to think of which one. So I guess really the Super Smash Brothers games, which I know aren't entirely fighting games, they're platform fighters. But that's what I grew up playing, which kind of got me more into fighting games. And then I played a lot of Tekken. I was pretty big on Tekken. And Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat, of course. I just recently started playing Soul Calibur and Dragon Ball Fighters, or Fighter Z, however you're supposed to actually say it. And I got very good at old school Mortal Kombat, to the point where I was playing like top tier. Killer Instinct, same thing. I was able to get to Killer. So not like competitive, I'm not saying that, but I got fairly good at them, which is pretty good because I don't really go for tiers a lot of times in multiplayer games. So I'd say probably my favorite fighting game of all time, I would probably have to say the new Killer Instinct. I really just enjoy the way the game feels. I think it feels very satisfying. I think the way that it you do combos and counter breakers just really resonates with the way I like to play fighting games. So, what about you? What are your favorite fighting games? Because that is a very valid question to be asking here. I'm gonna leave the coin mesh as this, since we'll probably never have a base pickup. So I'll go ahead and get the base pickup out of here and put a coin pickup here, just so that no one's confused. 1200. Okay, and then now we have our coin pickup. So what we can do is we could have a code class for this. I don't feel it's necessary to have a code class for something as simple as the coin. The coin really just tracks a value. Maybe if you get 100, you get a new life or something. It's nothing that we really need to define very special logic for. So we do want to have this logic, right, where we add coins. But we can just add a value right here in a variable called I don't really want to call it amount, but I guess we'll just call it value. What's your favorite side-scroller beat-em-up game? That's a good one. I don't know. I guess it probably would count, but River City Girls, very good game. Very much enjoy that game. Before that, though, and what really got me into side-scroller beat-em-ups, definitely Streets of Rage. I really like Streets of Rage. I actually have not played the fourth one, but I've heard it's very good. And again, what about you? That's a good question. I like these questions. These are fun ones. Fun to think about it, because I honestly don't really ever think about what my favorite games of a genre are until I'm asked about it. Then I'm like, yeah, I probably should have done that. So value here is kind of, I don't know, I don't like calling something value, but that's literally what it is. It's the value of this coin. You're going to do racing games tutorials somewhere? That's a very good question. I think I will. I want to do every type of game. So the reason I started with fighting game is because in college we made Fury Strike, which was good. It was good for what it was. We had like 8 months, 8 characters, a bunch of stages, and a bunch of mechanics for a lot of students learning Unreal. We were learning it for the first time, and we essentially worked day and night, and fighting games are very specific, very technical, and it was tough to get the feeling right. And we definitely missed the mark, if I'm being honest. It's not up to standard with a fighting game. But for what it was and what we had at the time, I was very proud of it. I wanted to make a fighting game because I wanted to kind of hone my skills on, what we did wrong, what we could do better, and kind of just flesh it out. Make it a solid game. I want to make a solid game from every genre, just to kind of, I like teaching, I like kind of explaining and going through the process, but I also learn from it, and I have fun with it. So I did that, and I did the platform fighter Super Smash Bros. Game, because that is actually one of the first games I tried to make. I was relatively successful. Again, I just missed the mark on the feeling. I had the mechanics there, but the feeling wasn't good. It didn't feel like I was playing a game that I'd have fun in. That's why I did that tutorial. Then I did the third-person, the first-person shooter tutorials, because those are things I actually wanted to learn more about. I never worked on one. Now we're doing a side-scroller game because screw it. Let's just do another genre. So will I do a racing? I think so. I've done a racing game for a game jam, so I have a general idea of how it's done. But it is pretty complicated. A lot of it is pretty simple. But if you're doing more if you're doing very realistic type driving, that is a nightmare, and I'm not even sure what I would have to learn to do that. It's a lot of work. But if you're doing like an arcade racing game, that's very plausible. Definitely something we can cover. Specific, like, this is you're in the GT40, you have to figure out how the tires react in this weather. That is tough. That is not a joke. As you mentioned, while it's not considered a complete fighting game, I grew up with Smash Bros. Mortal Kombat is always a solid one. I like the way the game plays. I'm not big on gore. I have no problem. I think it's cool, but it's not a selling point for me. I don't look at that like, I need to see that. But the actual combat in Mortal Kombat is there. It's solid. The way all the mechanics in it just feel good. It's a good fighting game. I mean, and it shows with how long the series has been around. But yeah. It's a good game. I respect that completely. I was big on the Streets of Rage series. Then there was this one Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know what one you're talking about exactly. Not the original. You're talking about the one where you were just going around. Yeah, it's just literally a side-scroller beat 'em up. I can remember the first areas, like you're in a burning building, and April is like getting kidnapped by Shredder or something. I remember that. That is all. You just unlocked a memory in my brain that had been hidden for a while. It's a good one. Good one. Alright, so we're just going to call this value. Again, I kind of hate that, but it is what it is. Now, any child of coin pickup, like if we have a mega coin pickup, we'll have this variable. So we can go ahead and assign this to what we want now. Right now, 1. Why not 1? 1 is fine. And the last thing we need is we kind of need a HUD or some way to display our coins. Let's go into... I've not organized anything, so I need to make some folders, but let's just do this first. Character HUD. HUD is heads-up display, in case anyone's not familiar. I never knew what it was at first. I remember just a funny little story about HUDs. I remember specifically, there was a cheat on Ratchet & Clank. I want to say Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal. There was a cheat where it was like hide HUD or something. And I never knew what a HUD was at that point, so I was so confused. I was like, what is this cheat doing? So, yeah, so I like to point it out now. Okay, so for the HUD, I'm not going to do much for it. We don't need to over-exaggerate here. But I'll put a text block in the corner here, and we'll be like coin counter. Doesn't need to be a variable. It does, because we'll use a binding. And let's just make it 0 by default. We'll put it in the center here, so that it remains there. That's probably good. So let's go ahead and... Oh, this doesn't have to be... Yeah, it does. Sorry. I don't know. Does it? We can learn right now. Does it have to be a variable to have a binding? Because you can bind it without making a variable, but will it actually work? Let's try it. So let's create a binding for the text. And what we need to do is... There's a few ways we can do it. This is the ugliest and worst way, to be completely honest, but it is easy. And before we have a game mode set up, it's pretty much the only way you can do it, really, without having some sort of reference or an owner. And you know what? Let's do the owner. Let's show it. Let's show a good way to do it. It's a little bit, we have to do a little bit more work, but it's not really involved at all. All we do is when the side-scroller character is created, so let's do begin play up here, then we can go ahead and create a widget. And we can create the character HUD. And this is still kind of going to be this is still kind of going to be a hack, because we don't have player controllers assigned to anything. So if you have multiplayer, this won't entirely work. But it works well enough for now. We can always adjust that later. We create the HUD, and we're going to add it to our viewport. You can also add the player screen, which is good for multiplayer games. I usually don't do that for things that are when we're doing single player, but you'll see where it can come into play. My goals are in this moment in this order: do animation Unreal, then a racing cruising world style, cool, then a King of Fighters fighting game style. That's cool. I like that. I like that you have your goals in mind and that you know the order you want to do it in. Animation Unreal is something I wish I was better at. I actually do know how to do it a bit. I've done it before. But if you can do it well, then that's really good. Animation Unreal, then racing game. Any suggestion for speed up the workflow? Like for making your game, speeding up the workflow of your overall game. It's kind of hard to say because it depends on how in-depth you want to do. But what I do for my personal projects, I have some personal projects I'm working on outside of the tutorials and stuff. Excuse me. What I normally do is I write a little list to myself of things I want to get done. It's essentially, if you're not familiar, there's like these Trello boards and hack and plan boards and things like that. I can probably show you real quick. I don't think there's anything here. You guys can't really see. Okay, so let's see. Trello. This right here. I'm not logged in, and I'm not going to do that right now. You can see everything, to be honest. But Trello, if you use this, or like some sort of planning board, this allows you to write in tasks for yourself, and then you can move them and kind of see where they're at. So you have like different columns, like not started, in progress, completed, things like that. I actually use this. I don't use one of these. I actually just write it down on Notepad, to be completely honest. But it would be, you know, this is a little bit nicer way to do it, and this is usually how you do it in like a workplace environment. But yeah, I think that definitely speeds up the workflow because you can stay focused on the tasks at hand instead of going off and doing a bunch of stuff, which I do all the time. You can kind of stay focused on what you want to work on. I think that would genuinely speed it up. More importantly than that, try and make things work for everything that you want to use it for early on. You know how I'm putting a lot of thought into the way I implement some things? That's because if you just make something work for the moment and you want to use it down the line, it's going to be more work. You're going to have to rework it, and that's okay. You're always going to have to rework things. You're always going to have to. You can't get around that, actually, because as things change, even if you're fully planned out, as things change with the way you implement them, whether it be for performance reasons, because you want an additional feature, you know, anything can come up. You'll have to rework a bit, but it'll save you more time if you do think ahead of time about the mechanics you want and what's going to rely on what, so you know what to work on. That would be my genuine suggestion. Other than that, just plug away, you know, finish a few things at a time, and just try and start putting them together and make sure everything looks the way you want it to. So now we have our owning player, because I put player 1 in there, so we can do get owning player of this widget, which is going to be the character that we have, and we're going to drag off of that. We have to cast it to the character type. Wait, it's not get owning player, that's the controller, isn't it? Is it get owning player pawn? That's what it is. So the possessed pawn by the controller that owns it. Then we cast that to our type, Twitch game character. And then if the cast succeeds, we know that we can grab the correct value. So we want to grab our num coins. Did I not make it a property? I did not, because I was like, oh, we'll just use the add coin. But now we want to display it, so I'm going to need that. So let's go ahead and make it a view property. Blueprint read write. Edit anywhere. Save. Build. Then I don't think this hot reloaded. In fact, I'm pretty positive it did not. Yep, so compile. Alright, then let's go into the character HUD. We grab our num coins now. And then we can drag it right into here. It'll do the conversion for us. Straighten. And there we go. Should be able to plug that in. And our counter now, our coin counter, should update as we collide with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there you go. You can see that it's working. Now, of course, we don't want to pick it up multiple times. So what we need to do after we've added is just destroy the actor. But I want to make sure that it worked first. 1, and it's gone. And I died to him. 1, 2, 3. See, and that's why a second's too long, because one of those hits did not register. There we go. We're looking pretty good, aren't we? What else? Probably don't want to do like the actual invincibility logic today, because we only have a little under 20 minutes. I'm actually just gonna delete this. Quite frankly, I don't think we're gonna reuse that at the moment. So we have coins being added. We have enemies being defeated. Don't want to get into enemies walking back and forth this stream. If there's anything, I'm trying to think if there's anything quick we can do. Let me play it again. Let's see. Coin. Crush enemy. I don't know. That really feels pretty solid as far as the stream goes, I think. I'm not intentionally trying to end it early, but I don't really want to start something and then only get halfway through it, and I do have to be done on time today. So I think we'll probably wrap it up there, to be honest, guys. I really appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. This is really fun. I really like doing the live coding. I enjoy streaming, and then streaming something we'll say okay at. I'd like to think I'm good at it, but we'll say okay at, just to cover all our bases. Yeah, I think we're going to end it there for today. I don't think that I have anything I want to start right now. So if you have any final questions, I'll gladly answer them now. Let me know. If you have any questions, I'll give it like 2 minutes. And then we'll wrap up. But in the meantime, while you're thinking of questions, let's go ahead and talk about... So the first episode of this was over on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Shawnthebro27. It's in the description if you'd like to give me some support on Twitch, and if you'd like to see the counterpart. I'll probably be doing stream on Twitch every Friday, and then stream on YouTube every other Friday, right? So, like one Friday, Twitch, next YouTube, next Twitch, next YouTube, like that. Just kind of a good way to hit both audiences, because I have a lot of people on Twitch who are actually really interested in this, so I'm not trying to alienate anyone, but I felt like this does fit better with the audience on YouTube, since that's the type of content I make, so I should probably do it for that reason, you know, so that people on YouTube can see it. But, you know, I want everyone to be able to see it, so I'll probably alternate. We'll see if I have a way to do both. I can't really do both with my Twitch agreement that I have. The regular Twitch affiliate agreement doesn't let you, well, you can, but you'd be breaking the rules, and I tend not to want to do that, so. I started learning how to make game assets environments, so if you need anything, let me know. Thank you. Your characters were great, by the way. They're great. The only reason I haven't used them is because I'm lazy. I gotta be honest. I'm not gonna make excuses. I'm lazy, so I apologize. If you have any animations for them, though, and you're interested in allowing me to use them, please send them over. I will go ahead and put them up. I will get them one day. I just, I spend a lot of time on the tutorial series, to be honest, and when I'm done making my video for that week, or I usually do them ahead of time, but when I'm done with it, I'm kind of like, I don't really want to add anything else to it right now, you know, and then... Oh, air dash. Excuse me, air dash is a good idea. We can do that. We are going to be wrapping up the stream now, but next time we can definitely do an air dash. 100% we can do it. I think that's a cool idea. I like it. Good luck, man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the support, really. I love having you here. I love talking to you, getting your opinions on everything, and I love being able to answer questions like this compared to just over text. So, thanks, guys. Although game assets environment, yeah, I mean, if you want to make any environments that you want to be seen, you want to be shown off in the tutorials, please go ahead and make them. Those are a lot easier than characters, at least in the fighting game. Because for the fighting game, if I want a playable character, he's got to have moves. I got to set up the ANMVP. It's a lot of work. So it's mainly me being lazy. But if you made an environment, I could just switch out the level. And I feel like you do deserve recognition for that. So I apologize that I've not done that. I've been working on cleaning up characters, but animations my okay. Yeah, if you get animations, I really like the characters, 100%. If you're willing to let me use them in the tutorial, then I will gladly do it. I need to calm down sometimes and not work on so many things at once and just have some fun time with it. Yeah, when do you think you'll stream next? Yeah, that's a great question. So, I stream every Wednesday and Friday, but I normally do it on Twitch. I wanted to start doing it on YouTube since we're doing programming live streamings. live streams. So if you're interested, I have the link to my Twitch in the description. It's okay if you don't have Twitch. It's okay if you don't want to follow it. It's not a trap. It's not like, go do this or I won't show you the content. It's fine. That's if you want to see it live on Twitch when we stream on Twitch. So that's every Wednesday and Friday. Now I'm doing alternating Fridays between Twitch and YouTube. So next Friday I'll still continue this, but on Twitch. The following Friday, 2 Fridays from now, I will do it again on YouTube. However, if you don't have Twitch, you're not interested, I do have another YouTube channel, Shawnthebro 27, which is my Twitch name, and that's why the YouTube channel is his name, which is going to have all my uploads on it. It's pretty up to date. I'm about 2 episodes behind, which is pretty consistent. I'm usually like 2 episodes behind the latest. If you're interested in catching up on those streams or just watching them when you have free time, you can go over to that now. I can put it in the... I'll put in the... if you guys want, and then I'll wrap up. So I'll give you like another 2 minutes, but I think I've said everything I need to say. I just want to thank you guys again for coming and checking everything out. I love having you here. I love talking to you, and I love streaming. So it's really, and I love programming. It's really a wonderful mix of everything going on. I use my hands a lot. You can see me moving them. But yeah, so ask me anything you want. You know, I'm not picky. Just having fun. But I'll be back still doing videos every Friday and Sunday, so no concern there. Nothing's changing. Just kind of changing where I stream sometimes so more people can see it that want to see it. I want to make sure that not just doing it to random people who don't want to see it, but then people who want to see it are missing out. It just doesn't make sense. Alright guys, so I think that's about it then. If you do have any other comments after this, you can feel free to just message me or comment. I'll answer. It may take me a little bit, but I will answer. So thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I don't have anything else to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.